It's 9:30. We will call the salary board meeting to order. We'll begin with the roll call. Desiree?
Good morning, Commissioner Nieder.
Here.
Commissioner Fashi.
Here.
Commissioner Eichelberger.
Present.
Control Whitcomb.
Here.
All right. Is there any public comment for the salary board? Desiree, do you see anyone online?
No one online at this moment.
Okay. Then we will entertain a motion for the approval of the minutes of the February 15th.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of February 15th.
Thank you. Is there a second? I'll second. It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. And move on into the approval of the salary board
I'll
action.
make a motion to approve all the salary board actions except the district attorney's office.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Sean, would you like to?
Yes, on behalf of the district attorney's item, I move for the approval of the district attorney's request to the salary board.
I'll second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Is there any other business to come before the salary board?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
All right, so adjourned. Thank you, Al. Keeping us moving. We will go into the commissioners meeting and begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we will call the Board of Commissioners meeting to order and we'll begin with the roll call.
Commissioner Nieder.
Here.
Commissioner Fashi.
I'm here.
Commissioner Eichelberger.
Present.
Then we will roll into public comment on non-agenda items. If you are online and would like to make a public comment, please use the raise your hand feature. Is there anyone on there, Desiree?
No one has.
Anyone in the room for public comment at this time? Does not appear so. We will roll into the next item on the agenda is proclamation recognizing March as Red Cross Month, and we're really pleased to do this. We were given some statistics on the operations of what the Red Cross is doing across the county, and I was quite impressed with the blood drives, over 2,300 in donated units, and I was surprised by the diversity of all that you're doing, engaging younger folks in programs, as well as the much needed assistance. And I was thinking of you all last night when the wind was so terrible and hoping that you weren't having to be deployed in some instance. But I would like to read the proclamation and then we'll do a little photo op and you're welcome to say something as well. Whereas Central Pennsylvania Chapter of American Red Cross prevents and alleviates human suffering in the face of emergencies by mobilizing the power of volunteers and the generosity of donors. And whereas the Red Cross is guided by 7 fundamental principles: humanity, impartiality, neutrality, independence, voluntary service, unity, and universality. And whereas we honor volunteers who provide shelter, food, and comfort during disasters, donate blood, support military families, veterans, caregivers, and save lives with first aid or CPR. And whereas in 2023, the Central Pennsylvania Chapter of Red Cross helped more than 1,000 people after home fires, installed 1,800 fire smoke alarms for neighbors in need, taught emergency preparedness to more than 1,300 students, hosted nearly 800 blood drives, gathering over 21,000 units of blood, and provided more than 1,700 services to veterans, military members, and their families. And whereas since July 2023, the chapter supported 75 Cumberland County residents during 16 events, provided more than $20,000 in financial support, assisted in 16 disaster health service cases, and 9 disaster mental health cases. And whereas we celebrate American Red Cross founder Clara Barton, one of the most honored women in the country's history who dedicated her life to alleviate suffering. And whereas we honor the individuals who make a life-saving difference by giving selflessly through their contributions, time, and dedication to the community. And now therefore, the Cumberland County Board of Commissioners hereby declares March 2024 as American Red Cross Month. So if you folks would like to come up, we're pleased to present this to you. And if you'd like to say anything, please feel free to do so.
Well, Commissioners, thank you. My name is Kevin Sunday. I'm Chair of the Board of Directors for the Central County Red Cross. Aaron Sunday of F&N. We want to just say thank you for helping us honor Red Cross Month. Cumberland County is actually live in Upper Allen, so proud resident. It's a generous county, as you mentioned in statistics. We've got a lot of folks who serve in the armed forces who are supported by the Red Cross. So we've got hundreds of volunteers, both adults who deploy and in Red Cross service clubs and colleges and K through 12 schools. Very appreciative of it's a very volunteer-led organization, and we thank you for helping us support our neighbors in their time of need.
And I'm Aaron Sunday, and we're not related in any way.
I had a note on that.
I actually live in Lower Island, so I'm also a Cumberland County resident. And I just want to urge everyone to donate blood. It is in dire need right now. So if anyone sees a blood drive, please sign up.
Thank you. Folks would like to come up, we'll do a little photo op. Ben, do you like this?
Yeah, big.
All right, there we go.
Okay, you guys, there's one. Perfect, okay, I'm gonna take a couple.
I need to move my water thing.
Yeah, you know what?
Sorry.
That's all right.
And that was a really good picture, I'm sure.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, all right, we're good.
Thank you.
The most recognizable symbol, I think. Yeah, nonprofit. Oh, well, boy, we should have kept the chairs away. I apologize. Next, we have a very special recognition that we would like to make to Wanda Ziegler, and she has been with the Register of Wills. She's celebrating 35 years of service to Cumberland County, and I am surprised to know that at one point we did violate the child labor laws in hiring her at 14, apparently. So, Lisa, did you want to say anything, or come on up? And Wanda, come on up. Yep. Oh, sorry.
So Wanda has not been in our office the entire time. Wanda actually started in the Bureau of Elections, where she spent 16 years there, and she finished as the election manager and chief registrar. So she worked on the other side of the county then. Then she went to the commissioner's office, when at the time we had a county administrator. So the chief clerk was two separate jobs. There was the chief clerk and the county administrator, and Wanda worked for the county administrator, doing grants, contracts, and special projects coordinator. And then she did that for about a year and a half, and then she came to our office in 2016. So she's been with us for 17 years. Is currently the chief deputy of the orphans court side, because we have two offices. We have a chief deputy of the registers and chief deputy of orphans court. So she does a fantastic job, keeps us in line, keeps the judges in line. So all of her service to the county and the leadership she provides in our office. There is a token on behalf of the county for all of your years. And I bombarded her yesterday. So we have this thing in our office. If anyone gets balloons or flowers, we make you come outside to pick them up. So you have to walk the whole way through. She has a stack of balloons in the office and flowers. So that's just the start of our celebration, because 35 years with the county is huge, so
It is.
I want to thank the commissioners for recognizing it.
Thank you, and thank you for your career in the service and you were all over the county, which is exciting. And I think that's a great way to bring different perspective to any group that you were part of. So now we know you have the real job is keeping Lisa in line. Should we focus at you, Ben?
Yeah, well,
Okay.
everyone comes in a little here. Alright. Okay, I'm gonna take a couple again. Alright.
I think they have. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
All right, now that the fun is over, let's get down to the real stuff. I'll turn it over to you, Stacy.
So next up on the agenda is the consent agenda. Today, this comprises agenda items 6 through 10. These are routine items. They do not appear to be controversial, do not appear to require any additional discussion. If discussion is desired on any of these particular items, now would be the time to make that request. Hearing no requests, commissioners, I would request approval of the consent agenda.
I will move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Thank you, commissioners. That takes us then to the regular agenda. These are items, they're non-routine and they will be discussed and may be acted upon individually. And we'll start with agenda item number 11. We have Dr. Dwight Ashby joining us to discuss a letter of support for a Gift of Smiles Neighborhood Assistance Program grant application. Good morning, Dr. Ashby.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to be present. You know, I've been online since you guys began, and I can't help but be as having a business with 40 women for about 35 years. It's an honor to see how professional and just sincere you all are. I mean, it is. It's great to see. I've been to a few things like you guys are presenting, and I didn't feel that as much as I feel it with you. So that's really nice. So thanks for what you're doing for Cumberland County. It's wonderful. So if nobody ever knows me, I'm Dwight Ashby, and this July will be 38 years of serving Central PA as a pediatric dentist. And 8 years ago, in 2014, I established a nonprofit nonprofit organization to treat developmentally delayed individuals, intellectual also. If any of you know any folks like that, you might be aware of the difficulties in accessing care. It's very challenging. So right now, I actually retired from my private practice October 13th of 2022. I've continued to do a Gift of Smiles through that practice. They've allowed me to do that. But now it's time for this baby to continue to grow. So we're currently raising funds to create a clinic in Lemoyne, 1029 Moomaw Road, if you're all familiar with that area, but it's the area as you going into Harrisburg on 15 up on the right, those professional buildings, someone's allowing me 1,500 square feet to lease to start a sustainable clinic. I do want to share one thing, and I will keep it brief, I promise. But my end goal is this clinic ends up being, I would love it to be 10 dental and 10 medical, and it would be place for somebody to go that it still would be. So all the treatment is gratis. I don't receive any compensation, but I do have employees, and as we move on now, I'm going to have to start paying for leases and stuff like that. So with that said, I'm gonna assume everybody's aware of the NAP. I wasn't until just 6 years ago, but the Neighborhood Assistance Program. So we are applying for, we've already had them visit the clinic, and we're applying for their approval. And a letter of support from you guys would go a long way in helping us get that approval, which, as you might or not know, that enables businesses to contribute to the clinic and gives them the chance of a 75% tax credit break. So the wonderful thing is that they're giving back to the community, and it helps them out along the way. Do you folks have any questions for me that you, in any more detail, that you'd like me to cover?
I do not.
I don't either, Dr. Ashby, and I've been to the Gift of Smiles fundraiser and
Oh, thank you.
you don't, but your office was my children's dental office. So I'm very familiar with your program and what you want to do, and it's so important. And just so the board knows and the public knows, Dr. Ashby has provided free care for people, free dental care for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities for years. It really is near and dear to the mission of the county, and really such a fantastic thing you've done. I'm glad that this office will be in Cumberland County.
Me too. Yeah, it's truly been a godsend the way it's worked out, and because we're less than a mile from Harrisburg, and it's just so convenient for people, even if they, are challenged to get there, because we try to make it accessible even by bus. We might have to help a little bit there, but I think it's going to be I feel strongly it's going to be a wonderful place to start this thing. And I thank you for your kind words.
And Dr. Ashby, I do want to commend you and thank you for what you're doing. I think it's incredibly important. And my only question to our solicitor is, do I have to recuse myself, as I was a patient of Dr. Ashby's way?
I know I wish I could see you both better, because if I saw you close, then I might be able to say, oh yeah, okay. Because if you've been in the practice, and apparently have, that it was very important for me to know who you were and greet you such.
And you did. Are we going to do these in individual votes, Stacey?
I would assume so,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah. So would someone like to make a motion?
I will. Go
I'll
ahead.
move for approval of the letter of support for the Smiles Neighborhood Assistance Program.
A second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Very good. Thank you, Dr. Ashby.
Thank you all. I appreciate your time. Be well.
Thank you. Okay, so that takes us then to our next request for a letter of support, and we have Sean Gladden, the Executive Director of the Cumberland County Historical Society, joining us to discuss the letter for their grant application. He is online. Okay.
Let's try that now. Can you hear me?
There you are.
Yes, there you are.
Hey everyone, how's it going?
Hello.
I'm not driving, I'm pulled over. My name is Sean Gladden. I'm the Executive Director of the Cumberland County Historical Society. Since I was hired roughly about 2 years ago, the organization has been committed to improving our physical structure, our infrastructure, our accessibility, and our community offerings to Carlisle and Cumberland County as a whole. Part of phase one for that, as if anyone has driven by the Historical Society building lately, you'll see that we are replacing and repairing our roof. We also had to address some engineering issues with the building. This is phase one of a larger project. Last year, we also took care of the sidewalk out front of the historical site to make sure that we were accessible and safe. Our next phase is what I'm asking for a letter of support for today. We are applying for a Keystone Planning Grant, which will help to pay for a master planning and historic structures report for all of our historic properties, not only in Carlisle, in downtown Carlisle, excuse me, which includes the main museum building, which was originally built in 1881 and is the original Hamilton Library building. By the way, we were founded in 1874, so this is our 150th anniversary as an organization. So we have the Pittsburgh building, which is the main museum building. We have the High Street building, which is where our History on High gift shop is. And on the third floor is the Odd Fellows Hall. We also have a wood shop and an additional exhibit space that's sponsored by GB Stewart in that building. And then we also have our 2 Mile Historic House, which we have events and rentals, while also maintaining the historic properties of that building. What we would like to do is apply for a master planning grant that will allow us to improve all of our structures, make them more accessible to the public. We're looking to renovate and possibly open to the public the Odd Fellows Hall. And we still have more structural, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing issues that need to be addressed to modernize our building. So what we are asking for is a letter of support to our efforts to get a Keystone Planning Grant. In that planning grant, we are working with McKissick and Associates out of Harrisburg, who are designing the planning documents and the historic structures report so we can move forward with the next phases of our project. So that's basically what we are doing.
Any questions for Sean?
None.
I will move to approve the letter of support for the Cumberland County Historical Society Keystone Planning Grant application.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And next up, actually, I am speaking to the issue of, I was approached by Capital Hotels Investment Group for, they provided a letter of support for their RACP loan. They had not worked with CADIC to submit their RACP, so I think they've come about this process a little bit in the 11th hour. So the request is being submitted, has been submitted, and they're asking for our support of that. The hotel is located in downtown Shippensburg and hosts community events. And it's a central location for people visiting the university. Their sales are bring in roughly $2.5 million in economic activity, and they are hoping to expand with a business conference center at that location. So I would ask if the board had the willingness to support a letter to issue a letter in support of their request for a RACP.
I'll make a motion that we approve a letter of support.
Thank you.
I second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Right, thank you. All right, so that concludes our letters of support, and the next portion of the agenda are contracts and grants. I'm going to turn the meeting over to Angela Smyser to cover them.
Thank you, Stacy. Good morning, everybody. Moving on to agenda item 14, I will call on Anita Brewster to discuss a grant acceptance for CASA.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm hoping this is the end of the tunnel here with this grant. It's very complicated for those of us who are not that familiar with the grant process. We are looking forward to being able to utilize $35,000 that was allocated to us through PA CASA. And with that, we are really working to retain our CASA volunteers. We were able to fund a part-time position fully, benefits and salary. And we have ways to incentivize our CASAs with more training and more conferences that they can go to. So we're almost there, I'm hoping. I don't know if you have any questions.
Any questions for Anita?
I do not. I will move to approve the PA CASA Association grant acceptance of $34,663.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Anita. Thank you for the
Thank
great
you.
work that you and your team do.
Thank you. I will pass that on. Thank you very much.
Moving on to agenda item 15, I will call on Jamie Ryber to discuss the contract for children and youth. Good morning, Jamie.
Good morning. This is an addendum to our Hoffman Homes contract. It's actually for personal expenses. It's $5 a day. This is for youth who are placed in their residential treatment program, which is funded fully through the insurance. This is just an incidental that we give them to go towards things that they need, such as their shampoo and their snacks that they want and things like that. So we wanted to add that into our contract.
Any questions for Jamie?
Need a motion?
I will move to approve the Hoffman Homes Inc. contract for children and youth services.
I'll second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you, Jamie.
Thank you.
Moving on to agenda item 16, I will call on Paul Polemski to discuss the contract for criminal justice services. Good morning, Paul.
Morning. I'm seeking this contract as a replacement or a change of vendors from our current vendor to a new vendor, alcohol monitoring systems. What this change will do for us, in addition to being slightly cheaper, will give us a better technology, will give us better support, and will give us better availability of equipment. The last year, we've seen an increased demand for continuous alcohol monitoring, and our current vendor has been unable to meet the demand that we need to fulfill those requests. So just in 2023, the number of participants increased 54%, and the number of monitoring days increased 91%. So we've had a huge demand.
Any questions for Paul?
No, you had two magical words, less expensive and better. So.
Granted, it's a marginal. We would have saved just a little over $300, with the amount of monitoring days we had last year, but it's $300.
Yes, it is. Every bit counts.
Yes.
Thank you, Paul.
I'll move for approval of the contract as well.
A second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you, Paul. Moving on to agenda item 17, I will call on Eric Bradnovich to discuss the contracts for the district attorney FID. Good morning, Eric.
Good morning, commissioners. So the two contracts in front of you, one of them is for flashback data for a short-term contract not to exceed $25,000. This is a contract to bridge a gap. We had an employee leave in our data forensic laboratory. And until we hire a new person, this is just a bridge to be able to continue to do work in that laboratory. So it's not to exceed 25,000. And this, should I do the second contract?
Yes, please.
Sure. Okay. So the second contract is actually something you've already approved for $227,700. It was already approved. Unfortunately, we were not able to come to an agreement through purchase order with the vendors. They wanted to go the contract route, so it's being reapproved as a contract, and that is for Porter Lee for a new LIMS laboratory information management system in the laboratory.
Any questions for Eric?
Eric, I do have on the first contract. Did this individual leave on very short notice? We didn't have any opportunity to shop around or to.
She did give 2 weeks notice, and we moved on hiring somebody quick as we could, and then we just still have that there's a gap in there that we just wanted to be able to fill it with this contract.
And we're familiar with this company. You've used them before.
Yes, we've used them before. They're involved in our accreditation. We've used them before. They're a good company. They're a distance away. They're in Texas, but they're very good.
All right, and they're just in place until the new employee is.
Correct.
Okay. All right, that's fine. Thank you then.
Sure. Thank you.
Any other questions for Eric?
Is there a motion?
I'm with dermatology.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
meeting with Ashley Brett.
Oh, okay.
You had a loud crew there, Eric. Just joyful, right? I'll make a motion that we approve the contracts as outlined.
A second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you, Eric. Moving on to agenda item 18, I will call on Sue Carpal to discuss the contracts for MHIDD. Good morning, Sue.
Good morning. So the first contracts, the first two are for early intervention. The first contract is an amendment for fiscal year 23-24. It's for Aspirations LLC. It's an increase of $87,488 due to additional services for the children. Second contract is a new contract for this year. It's for Leanne Broadbent, who is a speech therapist. It is a decrease of $8,173 from previous year due to it only being a 4-month contract. So the total amount for this contract will be then $8,173. And the last contract is an intellectual disabilities contract. It is amendment for fiscal year 23-24. It's an increase of $10,600. It is for the Alliance for Nonprofit Resources Incorporated, and they do all our certified investigations. And that contract will be for $23,600 now. Any questions?
Is that a 1 year? So
Yes. Yes.
Any other questions for Sue?
I will move to approve the contracts for MHIDD as set forth at agenda item 18.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you so much, Sue.
Thank you.
Moving on to agenda item 19, I will call on Bob Shagley to discuss the contract for public safety. Good morning, Bob.
Good morning, everyone. Public Safety is requesting your approval of a new lease agreement contract with American Tower Management LLC for our Wagner's Gap Tower site. This will replace our current contract with them to substantially increase lease space for the new Project 25 radio equipment. It's additional tower space for antennas and the microwave dishes, as well as the compound area to add a climate-controlled equipment shelter, generator, and propane tank. The first year cost is $71,296.34. This is an increase of $53,414.64, which is substantial, but we are moving from the current concrete loft with minimal equipment to, like I said, the shelter and generator and climate controlled versus now it is not climate controlled. So much more footprint impact there. And that is a 5-year initial contract with 4 automatic 5-year renewals for a total of 25 years, unless terminated by either party with appropriate notice. And it's an annual 3% escalator. Also included in this contract is an initial overlap charge of $942.36 per month to cover the cost of our current equipment and the lease there. So that was all negotiated by Brian, both the monthly fees as well as the escalator. So I think we're to the best we can get there, and they are all eligible under 911 uniform funding. Any questions?
Entertain a motion.
I will move to approve the American Tower Management LLC contract for public safety.
I'll second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you so much, Bob.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Moving on to agenda item 20, I will call on Justin Miller to discuss the contract for recycling and waste.
Good morning. So back in January, you approved submission of an application for registration to DEP for our 2024 Household Hazardous Waste Program. where we laid out that we would do 4 events and we would piggyback on the Department of Ag's Chem Sweep contract to use their contractor. And as part of that, they would contribute money towards pesticide disposal. The Department of Ag does not release their county funding until after January 31. So on February 13th, they announced that it would be $12,000 per county, which is an increase of $5,000 from 2023. So that's good. So I have drafted a letter for your signature, just indicating that we intend to move forward. They want to know by March 1, which is tomorrow, whether we're going to continue to move forward with that dollar amount. Now, the other thing that your approval will do, it will allow me to work with the finance department to do purchase orders for this program. So I built a calculator to estimate costs. Now that I know the money from the Department of Ag, I'm estimating that each event will cost $34,150. We will bring in approximately $16,500 in fees from our residents, and DEP will fund about $16,000 through the grant. So when the grant and the fee from residents are close, that's a good sign to me that our 55 cents per pound is the right number. Any questions on that?
We're doing both.
Since they're listed separately, we can do them separately. That's fine.
Second.
I'll second.
It's moved and seconded. Is there discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
And then moving on to agenda item 21, Justin will also discuss a grant program application for recycling waste.
Yeah, so this will be shorter. This is the annual county recycling coordinator 50% reimbursement grant. The state reimburses salary, benefit, and expenses for the previous calendar year. We do have to submit an application by April 30th, and I'm estimating that the amount will be $57,439.
Any questions for Justin on that grant?
I'll move for approval.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you, Justin.
Thank you.
And with that, I'll hand the meeting back over to Steve.
Thank you, Angela. And that takes us to agenda item 22. Darren Bache is here to discuss and request a capital project for IMTO.
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
I'm here to request the purchase of the replacement of our web filters. So our web filters, all the internet traffic for the county employees flow through the web filters. It blocks out malicious things along with advertisements, which often contain malicious things. We have control over what the employees are doing. We can filter out what sites they are gaining access to, so inappropriate sites, things like that. It also controls our bandwidth, so it lets us see where our bandwidth is going, so we can control that a little bit better. This is a 5-year renewal at around $80,500. Any questions?
Questions for Darren?
Darren, and the filters that you're getting, are they some of the best that we can possibly deploy on behalf of the county?
So we have had Cisco's product since 2013, maybe 2012, and we're very happy with it. We've looked at other products, they're more expensive, and the level of service that we're getting through Cisco is fantastic. They update the product every 3 to 5 minutes. So continuous websites are being updated, exploited, malicious, payloads put on them. And as that's happening, Cisco's updating their products so that we can filter it out. So yeah, we're very happy with it.
This is just a critical function for the county to protect the data that we have, so. Are there any other questions for?
I second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thanks, Darren. All right, that takes us to agenda item 23, which is Commissioner's liaison reports, and Commissioner Needham, I'll start with you.
Sure. I'm happy to report we continue to hold our information sessions with each of the departments. And since our last meeting, we held 7 of those meetings. Prison, aging, juvenile probation, communications, district attorney, the finance department, and the sheriff's department. The one comment that has been just astounding for me to see, the folks have done an amazing job in presenting what their departments do. But the real stress that many of the departments are under just due to the growth of the county, and it's going to be continue to be an issue that this board is going to have to face as these departments become increasingly stressed for resources. I will recap a few events that I attended. Gary and I attended the construction program wrap up at Shippensburg University. It was a very unique program aimed to educate the participants on opportunities in the construction industry. We talk occasionally about workforce development at this board, and it was a program that was really very creative in a way to work toward that. And I attended an event at Dickinson College to wrap up Black History Month. We had the visit from the Big Spring High School interns, and that was a real, I enjoyed chatting with them. They seemed to be enjoying their experience here at the county, and of course was trying to lay the groundwork for future employees if possible. We all attended the Public Safety Review meeting, and this board met with the Connections Health Solutions, who will be providing services at the Cumberland, Dolphin, and Perry joint venture of a walk-in crisis center. I was just very impressed and excited about what this is going to bring to the counties for impacting these services. It's going to take a while. This is not going to happen overnight, but once they get the clinic up and running, I think it will have a really significantly positive impact on our region for managing emergency mental health crises. The only liaison meeting I had over the time period was with the CADIC board, and we actually all attended as that we held our reorg for the members of CADIC. And I was elected to serve as the commissioner to that board. And additionally, the following individuals were appointed to the board: Todd Campbell from Farm Ag and Deb Pearson from Pearson Consulting or Computing Connections, Ray Wolf Jr. of Wolf and Company, and Patrick Dennis of Landmark Homes. They also had a reorg meeting for the board, and the emeritus board members were appointed, along with the following officers were elected. And Crystal Clinton is the past chair, Jonathan Cox is the chair, Jason Reimer is the vice chair, Harold Brandt is the treasurer, and John Rampula is the secretary. At that meeting, there was special recognition given to Amy Scrignoli from Belco Credit Union and Michael Shaw from McConkey Insurance for the contributions that they made to the organization during their time on the board. Both of those individuals held officer positions and dedicated a lot of time and energy to the success of CADIC, and their impact was deeply appreciated. The budget for the organization was updated to accurately reflect the pending increase in the hotel tax that will go into effect in April. And the updates that were provided by the staff many were included in our update as from yesterday from CADIC. The several takeaways though during the updates that were of interest to me was that the organization is going to be it's been spending a lot of time shoring up their operations with improvements to their process and procedures. So I hope that they really get those things ironed out and running solidly. They're focusing on committees to get the committees engaged and working. And while I am new to this board, I'm not certain if that is, sometimes it's difficult to have work done in committees and the board ends up doing more work. So it seemed as though they were putting emphasis on having work done by committees and then presented to the board. It's a common occurrence where sometimes it doesn't work in that fashion. They're focused on just tweaking the existing strategic plan and not going through an entire new plan. And the item that they are working on that I think is really exciting for Cumberland County is they continue to work on obtaining the Frog and Switch property. And I think that will have such a positive impact to the community. It's a bit of ways, but I'm kind of chomping at the bit to see what happens on that parcel for the community. That's all I have to share.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Fauci.
Well, good morning, Cumberland County. I would remind everyone to use the Cumberland County Library System. This weekend, the County Commissioners Association of Pennsylvania is having their get together at the Hilton, and I know Commissioner Nieder and I will be attending that Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and getting some updates on all things county, including human services, emergency services. So that's a Sunday, Monday, Tuesday event. February 27th, the Conservation District met, and I'll go over the highlights that I think are really important. And this is the first one. During the Wolf administration, Governor Wolf did an executive order regarding business development. And what this executive order does is it says to DEP, okay, DEP, when there's a development going on, we have the ability to turn this into priority status for review of materials. Cumberland County now has 3 priority review projects. And what is happening is those priority review projects are coming in very hot and fast to the Conservation District. DEP has a requirement to do that review very, very quickly, and they are enlisting our conservation employees to do that review, and it is a tremendous amount of work for them. What they've expressed is that because this is all moving so quickly, some of the plans are not up to snuff. They're not what they need to be. One of them had 70 comments on it. So bringing that to the board's attention, that these priority reviews are creating some chaos and some extra work at conservation. So I think we need to be on top of that.
Commissioner, that's my concern with these food processing residuals, that it will be pushed down to the counties to implement and in that same fashion.
Yes, and so just to go aside on this, the more that I learn about what is going on at the state, and I'm looking at LEPC and the hazmat team, and they're saying, you know, the contribution from the state has not increased since the 80s, right? We've got the same thing going on at conservation. The state has got to step up to help us. We're providing services that they mandate. I say this over and over again. I sound like a broken record, but we are incurring costs that we cannot keep up with out of the general fund in any way, shape, or form. So there's just that's the board's got to be really concerned about that. I mean, everything costs more, and what we get from the state is not keeping up in so many levels. So I'll go back to conservation. This is so exciting, and I know, Keith, that conservation will be reaching out to you about this if they have not already done it. W. Dean Hively with the United States Geological Survey is a project lead on developing satellite remote sensing tools for Pennsylvania cover crops. And because Cumberland County is just leading the path on cover crops and protecting our soils with those cover crops in the winter, they want to partner with us and share some data as they develop this particular tech. And Aaron at Conservation is so excited about this project. And this project, if this comes to fruition, will indeed save conservation money. Instead of being out in the field, trudging out there to make sure that the cover crop is done, and that it's out there and our farmers, you know, can get their money that way, you can just use the tech, see that it's there, and proceed with reimbursing our farmers. And it's such a cool project. There was a lot of like fan personing about it, right? Everyone was super excited. Carl brought forth some expense adjustments that he's going to bring to the Board of Commissioners because He believes that he can save the county general fund some dollars in terms of how salary and benefits are paid. So he'll be bringing that to us. I think that that's really great. Boy, our employees are stepping up. We're stepping up on saving the county money and thinking about things in a different way, thinking out of the box. The 2024 Growing Greener Grant Round will open in the spring. It's expected to open in the spring. So those Growing Greener grants are used to support local waterhead restoration, reclaim abandoned mines, reduce flooding, nutrient and sediment pollution. So keep an eye out for those. And finally, let's talk about Ridge Road in Mount Holly Springs. So it looks like there may be a solution on Ridge Road. Most of the landowners that are there at Ridge Road have agreed that they are going to give an easement to the borough for maintenance of that road. I believe there's one holdout. But when that happens, then Mount Holly Springs is going to go ahead and repair that road. So they'll do a French mattress, some pipes, some under drains, and they're going to use mostly oil and gas money to do that, and then a grant from conservation. So we're just kind of holding on that. But as we know, the state is going to abandon care of that road. So it's either going to fall to the borough or it's going to fall to the private landowners. And preferably it should fall to the borough so that that construction and maintenance can be consistent along that road. They are telling me that this fix will then allow for a fire truck to be able to use that road to get into the forest, which we know is very important. On 223, Pat's meant, and clearly I'm losing my voice, so I'm going to take you to this that is so important. This is Safe Streets for All in the Harrisburg area. So there's a safety action plan that will be completed by the summer of 2024. So as part of developing that safety action plan, there's public input opportunities. There will be a public input opportunity on Wednesday, March 6th from 4 to 8 at the Stewart Community Center. This is so important. I'm going to get this out on social. I'm going to get it to Samantha to put out. The number of constituents that talk to me about safety, pedestrian safety, automobile safety in this county there's just a tremendous number of people that want to talk about it. This is your chance to go and take a look and give your public input. So this is a good thing that's happening. And finally today, this is the public unveiling of the County Commissioners Association of Pennsylvania complex case work group findings and recommendations. So there was 6 months of study done on this, and today is the day that CCAP is releasing this. So I will make sure that my colleagues have this, and there is a nice 2-page executive summary also. And that's what I have.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thanks.
Commissioner Michaelberger.
Okay, a few items. We'll start with IDE, here at my heart. So they always seem to take second going to MH, but give them a start here today. A couple of good news. Well, at least one good news thing. ODP determined they had available essentially leftover funding from the last fiscal year. So that allows them to release additional waivers sometimes in the mid-year for the fiscal year. And Cumberland Perry has got 24 additional community living waivers, and 12 additional consolidated waivers. And Sue says they're very excited because they've never received this many mid-year waivers before. So they're working now on finding the best way to allocate those additional waivers, which of course are the ticket to services. So then on.
Gary, excuse me, that won't exhaust their waiting list though.
It will not.
So while it's wonderful and it's,
yeah,
we appreciate it, it doesn't exhaust the waiting
list.
list.
It is not. It's it's an unusual occurrence. Again, this is the highest number they've ever received. So give them their happy moment on that.
Yeah. That's great.
So I'll get some more information on that as well. The Cumberland, Perry IDD, Dauphin County IDD, and the school districts in Cumberland, Perry, and Dauphin will have their annual transition fair. That's going to be the 13th of March. It's at Hack. They do this every year for students that are graduating from high school, and it's meant to provide information on services available as well as employment. And they've had a great emphasis on employment in recent years. And Cumberland County actually has done very well in the employment for IDD consumers in recent years. So hopefully that trend continues. On the MH side, we're all familiar with this. Andy reports that the staffs continue to work with Connections Health Solutions, as reported earlier. This is in regards to the walk-in, the regional walk-in crisis center. And last week, staff also met with the Chiefs of Police Association. It was a virtual meeting, but the Connections folks were part of that. So we're getting the word out and garnering some additional input on how best to make that facility a success. Upcoming, MH staff are going to be providing 2 community presentations Saturday, the 23rd of March. This is with the regional Rotary and with a local community group she did identify. May 3rd, of course, in recognition of Mental Health Awareness Month. I think we're all aware of the CSP Community Support Program is going to hold their annual awareness walk, mental health awareness walk. It's going to form Latour again, and walk will be to the historic courthouse across the street. And there'll be a number of folks who will be sharing success stories of recovery. Always a meaningful event, and I hope we'll all be able to attend. May 9th, West Shore Rotary will host the movie Resilience. They've received a grant and they're working with our MH office to plan the event. It'll be at the West Shore Theater, and there will be, again, a panel discussion following that film. Recycling. Of course, we had the agenda items today, and the household hazardous waste program was discussed briefly. The Department of Ag has announced the initial county allocations for the pesticide disposal. That's $12,000 per county. It's an increase this year. It used to be $7,000, so it's a nice increase percentage-wise. Department of Ag will want to know by March 1 if the county is going to agree to this. Of course, that locks us into their their hazardous waste contractor, MXI Environmental, as discussed earlier under the contracts. The recycling coordinator grant also addressed earlier. So, Judd updated me that they've been talking to Vector Control about doing another tire collection. We had that this year. It was very successful. They're looking at date of May 16 and 17 tentatively. And that would be from 3 to 6. Judd wants to get on an upcoming finance meeting agenda. I'm not sure, Stacy, if he's been in touch with you yet, but he wants to review the results of the last year's program with the tires, and might have some additional input for us on how to continue that as making that a success. Of course, we all attended the informational meeting as discussed earlier with our Office of Aging. It's a great overview on the many services that are available there. I did check in with Annie in regards to anything additional, and she said I should announce about the public comment period is open now for the state aging master plan. It's called Aging Our Way, Pennsylvania. She did send me a handout on that. This is going to communications where it's posted on our social media, I presume on the website as well. And anybody who wants to talk that up about public input certainly would be welcome. Continue to deal with the one closure senior center, and they are offering participants the opportunity to go to other senior centers in the interim and providing for the transportation through rapid transit at the office's expense. So the only other item I wanted to mention was as far as I know, the COG is not headed to meeting. I was unable to attend the Redevelopment and Housing Authority board meetings because they conflicted directly this month with mental health IDD. I need to get a read on whether that's going to be an ongoing problem. We may need to make some arrangements in that regard. And There was a preliminary meeting for the governance committee of CCAP this week. It conflicted with one of our information meetings, so I didn't get that. Governance committee does meet at CCAP this weekend. I'm going to be zooming into that. I'm not attending the overall conference, but I'll be attending. Governance committee, that's as you know, that's the committee that's right below the executive committee in terms of priority agenda items for CCAP, so I don't want to miss that. And the WIB LEO, I reported out last time we met. I neglected to mention that we had also had reorg for that. And Commissioner Bob Zabrowski from Franklin County was reseated as chair, and I was reseated as the vice chair. The secretary position, I think, is changing to Commissioner Gray from Huntington. So I think that's everything I have right now. So, thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner. That takes us to agenda item 24, and I'd like to report that an executive session was held on February 22nd, 2024 at 9:30 a.m. regarding personnel. Now I'll ask if there's any other business to come before the board.
I'd just like to make a few comments if possible. First, thank you, Gary, for your leadership on the CCAP items. That's important that we're engaged in that. And I also wanted to thank the team at Children and Youth that coordinated the walk for the coldest night of the year to benefit Community Cares. And Commissioner Bashi and I participated in that. And thank you, Commissioner Bashi, for coordinating that and getting everybody going. It was a good event.
I did coordinate.
Well, helping to, you got me wrangled into doing it, so you got some, you raised some interest.
Nicole and Mickey put that together. I did.
I appreciated it. They were a good group and it was for a very good cause. So
That's it, Commissioner. Okay, hearing no other business, we are adjourned.